and structural pests, but they're fantastic pollinators. And the day at the Baker Prairie that I saw this little common eastern bumblebee stealing nectar, you could tell, just sticking her tongue in there instead. Carpenter bees were all over the blue sage pollinating legitimately. So it's just something that pops up occasionally with bees. When they figure it out, they're going to start doing it. This is one that I thought was kind of interesting in China. It's a striped squirrel that is a nectar robber. And so, you know, there's some squirrels, bats, what have you, some mammals that are pollinators too, but this is the only mammal nectar robber on the books. And you can see here it chews through the base of the ginger flower that it was on. So. And this is Paul Noland in the Coreopsis bloom, and it was just amazing. This is Plains Coreopsis, or golden tick seed, and it was the most dominant plant there in the open area, and just absolutely gorgeous. And full of so many things that were not only using these flower resources, but there were things that looked like bees. And so I thought that was a good time to talk about another thing that's interesting about insects, which is mimicry. You'll get things that look like bees, like this one right here. Most of you would think of as being a bee, and this one here. But those are actually flies. They look a lot like bees because birds won't eat them if they're scared of being stung. And if it looks enough like a bee, then a bird's going to avoid eating it. So these are the snowberry clearwing, which you guys have probably seen around a lot, or a moth that looks a lot like a bee and is out in the daytime feeding on the same plants that bees are on. And then here's a little fuzzy bee fly that looks a lot like a bee, and a beetle that's got the same coloration, the Pennsylvania leatherwing. You'll find all of these on the same flowers that you find bees on, and a lot of times they'll sound like bees, and they are doing all of this to avoid being eaten. But the nice part about it is that a lot of them actually do a lot of pollination on their own too. So maybe not carrying as many pollen grains as a bee will, but they're actually doing a lot of pollinating services themselves. And the spider milkweeds, people call it, green antelope horn, is a really interesting looking milkweed. It's got these gargantuan green flowers, and it was growing up at Woolsey and World Peace. And milkweed is one that you probably heard a little bit about because it's one that monarchs are specialized on for food. So monarchs need to have milkweed in order to survive. So this is a little monarch caterpillar there and monarch adult. And this is also another organism that's specialized on milkweeds, which is the large milkweed bug. And so when it's young and an adult, will live on milkweed as well. And the thing with specialization is that when you lose one member of these specialized little groups here, it's likely that you'll lose the other. So if we took away all of our milkweeds, we're not going to have monarchs that are able to rear their young here. If we took away all the milkweeds, we're also going to lose all the milkweed bugs. They're going to have a harder time finding something that's suitable to eat. Woolsey was chock full of our local hibiscus, which is a rose mallow. It's a very pretty plant. It's one that bumblebees don't seem to like very much. I never found a single bumblebee in there, even though there's a lot of nectar and pollen. But